Hello, folks. Welcome to Two in the Cooler. Thank you guys for listening. If you're new to the show, you can follow us on social media at Two in the Cooler and check out our YouTube page. Also, don't forget to subscribe and rate the podcast on iTunes. That is a small thing that helps us out a ton. So we appreciate all the people that have been doing that for us. And if you're new to the show, please feel free to do the same. And as always, share the show with the people you love, because if you enjoy it, they're going to enjoy it as well, and why not share that experience with them? That helps us out a ton, and we really appreciate you guys for doing that. Before we get to what we got to do to pay the bills, quick shout out to Film Juice. Tomorrow, this episode's coming out on the 17th, so tomorrow, December 18th at 8 o'clock, Film Juice is going live on YouTube for the first ever Film Juice watch party. Joe Dorado and I are going to be watching Splash, 1984. Tom Hanks has sex with a mermaid. It's incredible if you haven't seen it, so be sure, 8 o'clock, hop on YouTube and join us for that. We're going to have a lot of fun. Now, here we go. This episode of Two in the Cooler comes to you in affiliation with Instacart. Guys, Christmas is coming up, okay? So whatever you need, whatever you got to do, you got things, I got to run around. You don't have to run around. You can just use Instacart. It is without a doubt the best way to get your groceries, especially in 2020. And not just groceries, but some other of your favorite products from some of your favorite local stores. And here's the thing. Right now, Two in the Cooler listeners get free delivery on their first order of $35 or more. Hit the link in the show notes to get that deal. Thanks for listening, people. We appreciate it. Here's the show. Enjoy.
I got a blanket on my legs, I'm FDRing it, and I'm ready to do a fucking podcast. Let's go.
FDR style is the best way to do podcasts. I went no blanket tonight, but I did go fuzzy socks, fuzzy sweatpants on the bottom.
Okay, so that's like
winter
a blanket
hat
you
still
can walk
on. It's
around in.
winter hat. Yeah. Winter hat is on. We're staying warm. It's fucking cold outside too. I was just telling you a second ago. I was at the hockey rink for a while today. And whatever, I'm used to the inside of the hockey rink. When I walked out of the hockey rink and it was dark, it was freezing, like so cold, like it was like hands hurt cold. You know what I mean? Like I almost started sprinting to my car. But luckily, the lovely mother of one of the goalies that we were training baked us cookies, so she gave us cookies. So I got some sugar cookies, or she didn't bake them, she bought them and gave them to us because of COVID. But so I've got some sugar cookies waiting for me out there once I eat dinner post pod. But that's not what we're here to talk about, at least yet. We got a lot of stuff to get through, but the first and most important, the way we ended last episode, we got to talk about the Titanic.
Okay.
So there's a lot of conspiracies out there about the Titanic, which I now know. Some saying that it didn't even sink, which I didn't read into those because that just seems a little bit ridiculous.
So let me preface a little, because I didn't look into.
All right, what do you want to hear?
No, I'm just ready to.
Okay, you didn't look. Okay, yeah. So I'm about to explain this to you for the first time.
Okay. I did hear somebody talking about, like, somebody who's really into conspiracies. I heard them talking on something recently and like this week, and they said the most convincing thing that I've ever heard for conspiracy theories, like government conspiracy theories, which is that they go, I don't trust criminals. I was like, okay, you kind of got me on that one. Like I see where, like, makes it very fair. For a little bit.
All right, so the Titanic, well, what is believed to be, I think this might make sense. Well, so there's a theory that the Titanic never sank, which I guess saying it out loud, it kind of relates it to my theory. But there's also like a theory that J.P. Morgan was behind the sinking of the Titanic to get back at his enemies. I'll get into all this.
Okay.
But the Titanic supposedly sank in 1912.
Supposedly.
So I was watching this thing the other day, and the Titanic had pretty much a sister ship called the Olympic, which had already been used prior to the launch of the Titanic and was pretty beat up. Like, it had been dinged up. Like, it had hit, like, some stuff in the past. and had like some physical damage to the boat. So there's a theory that the people that owned it, whatever, like the Titanic and the Olympic, sent the Olympic out on the Titanic's maiden voyage, knowing that it would probably sink, to get the insurance money from the Titanic, since the Titanic was brand new, when actually the Olympic was the boat that was sailing. And so let me back up this theory with the facts that I was provided with briefly. One of them being a picture that was taken when they were going to make the Titanic movie, because they dove down and like looked at the remnants, and you can see like it looks like where paint had rusted away, the lettering of what looks like would be like an M. You know what I mean? Like we would see Olympic rather than the words Titanic. And another one was, even though they were sister ships, the Titanic actually, I think, was like 3 feet longer than the Olympic, vice versa, either way. The Titanic only had 14 portholes, whereas the Olympic had 16. And if you look at pictures of the day that the Titanic set sail and the day that it sank, like, I mean, obviously you could mess around with pictures, but the pictures that they show all had 16 portholes, not 14. So then another argument, and this ties back into the JP Morgan thing. So JP Morgan was supposed to be on the Titanic, claimed he was sick, so he never went. And then like the night it set sail, he was seen out in public having dinner. So some people were like, oh, well, like JP Morgan was setting up like his competitors like to death, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like it was a sabotage. But some people think that because JP Morgan was actually so powerful, he actually had gotten word that they weren't sending the real Titanic, they were sending the Olympic, and that's why he didn't go, because I believe there was a couple other more powerful people that also did not go on the maiden voyage of the Titanic that ended up sinking, which I now believe to be the Olympic, not the Titanic.
Okay. So they made the Olympic up to look like the Titanic.
Before set, like they like changed like the letters to say Titanic instead of Olympic, like on the outside. But like then when like so that's what I'm saying, like when it rusted away, it looks like it says Olympic at the.
Okay, so you're saying that the photos or whatever, the wreckage has peeled some of the old paint off of where maybe they covered up the word Olympic.
And you can see like where it looks like
that says Olympic.
Yeah, yes.
So
and then so then I looked up the Olympic a little bit, and then the Olympic became known as like old reliable ship, like sailed for like a super long time. And like
which is what the Titanic was supposed to be, of course.
Supposed to be.
Right. But if they're sister ships, then you could argue that they're going to be pretty close.
So insurance. Yeah.
So.
Yes, okay. You could definitely make that argument.
Okay. So.
I think the biggest thing to me is the portholes. Like if a ship is supposed to have 14 portholes and it has 16 portholes, it's a different ship. That's fairly obvious.
Right.
And obviously I wasn't the one who collected these images. Like I wasn't there in 1912 taking these pictures of the Titanic before it left, or at the bottom of the ocean taking the pictures. So I have no evidence if these pictures are real or not, but they looked real, and that puts me on board.
Okay. Man, I don't know. I've heard
it makes
a lot of stuff about, doctoring photos and stuff lately. So obviously that's going to cause skepticism anywhere.
But
what are you saying makes sense?
Because if the Olympic was on its last leg anyway, and it was worth less than the Titanic, and you sent the Olympic out in place of the Titanic, this brand new indestructible ship with this huge like insurance policy, with the plan that either it's not going to sink and whatever, or it does sink, then we get insurance money.
So that was
which is probably
that
a lot
was-
of money.
I'm sure it was. That was going to be my big question. Was like who stood to benefit from the Titanic going down? Obviously, you said J.P. Morgan. Maybe he's got some enemies on the ship and stuff. But is that enough?
Well, that's
to
a theory
really
that's out there. That's
take
not the
it
theory
down?
that I believe.
Okay, so what do you believe then? That it was for the insurance?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm losing my mic. I believe that it was for insurance. Yes.
Man,
I don't think that JP Morgan was involved, but I think that he was keyed on, like, hey buddy, like maybe stay off this one. You know what I mean? Because
Sure.
why else would he say he was sick? I mean, I guess that also makes the argument of why you could think that JP Morgan did it. But I think that there's more facts. Like, that's one thing. Like, oh, JP Morgan didn't show up, so he must have done it. But if you include that and the portholes and the lettering and the potential insurance money, you've got what I think are four good reasons to believe that the Titanic was not the ship that sank, but rather the Olympic.
okay. I mean,
And also, you got to remember at the time, like people wouldn't. There was no internet, like to go look it up. So the fact that the Olympic had, that there was a difference of two portholes, people wouldn't have noticed that if they didn't
yeah, nobody would have.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even if you were like, oh, I looked at, like, even if you were like, oh, like I was reading the newspaper and it said the ship has 14 holes, but it actually has 16. You're probably thinking that's a misprint in a newspaper. Never think anything of it.
That's
Until
true.
years later down the line. I don't know who is responsible. Like, is the company that built the Titanic still a company to this day? Like, can somebody
Ooh, I
still
don't
be
know.
held
Let's
responsible
look
for
that
this?
up
Can
right
we?
now. I'm going to look up who built the Titanic. Because if that's true, insurance is a great motivator for like anything. If you say something about like that's
Burning
why
your
they
house
always
down.
look at the husband first, right? In a murder because
Killing
it's
your
like
spouse, burning your
Exactly.
house down,
the insurance.
all that stuff.
Okay, so let's see. So
Or like
The
killing a
company-
relative that's got like a big
so-
inheritance.
the Titanic was built by a company of Belfast, a Belfast-based shipbuilding company called Harland and Wolff. Now let me look up Harland and Wolff. Hold on, just click that.
See if they still exist. Because I think somebody needs to be brought to justice now.
You think so? Still? Well, I mean, how
Innocent-
long's it been? Like it's been
Innocent
over
lives
100
were
years,
lost.
right?
Innocent lives were lost
Mhm.
for fucking the Wolfies or whatever their names are
The Wolfies.
to collect insurance money. And I think we should hold somebody accountable for that. If we don't, who is gonna? If Two in the Cooler doesn't hold somebody accountable for the crash of the Titanic, who is going to hold somebody accountable?
Ooh, okay, we got some very interesting.
Because, and
information
actually,
now.
it's not like getting in like a car accident. You know what? It's not like getting in a car accident or a plane accident where like you could like go through like wreckage kind of and like see like what could have gone wrong. Like when like at the time the Titanic sank, like nobody was really going down to the ocean to check it out until years later, probably, right? They probably didn't have the technology.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
unless
no
they
way.
were really big fans of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I mean, they had submarines, but that doesn't give you an opportunity to go down there and investigate the Titanic. And so that's another theory that it was shot down by a U-boat.
Ooh. Okay, we're getting into some. Okay, here's what I've found now on these Harland and Wolff fellas. The company was founded in 1861, nationalized in 1977, privatized in 1989. Are they still around? Great question. Here's the answer. They were going out of business, but then they were purchased by a UK firm. This was a year ago. And they've got 79 employees.
So they still exist. Well,
So they still exist. I can't
kind of.
it sounds like. So they were purchased by a company, I believe, called Infrastrata, which, sounds suspicious to me because it sounds like it's got some. Okay, Infrastrata is a London stock exchange firm focused on the development and commercialization and operation of advanced high-value strategic infrastructure facilities across the globe. Which sounds right.
I have no clue what you just said.
I mean, that's a very vague, description of a business. So it sounds right for
I agree.
for some meddling.
When you read it off to me, I couldn't decide if it sounded sketchy or if it was just way over my head.
Mm-hmm. I think it sounds sketchy, but I also feel like maybe most of the times those things go hand in hand. So. Man, it does seem 1912 interesting. What was going on in the world in 1912?
It was pre-World War One, just about to be World.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're only 2 years out, right?
2000
after 1914. Yeah.
So it seems like a ripe moment in history, especially for people, because as much as people in power get away with stuff now, back then, like you said, especially pre-internet, I mean, it's not just like that they were getting away with more stuff and that it was harder to find evidence of it, but nobody, unless you were like a professional reporter, was even thinking about it because you're just trying to, be alive, right? So nobody's even considering that, checking these guys, that something could be up. So, I mean, if the Titanic actually did not sink and that it was switched out with the Olympic and then that went down for the insurance money.
Yep. Insurance fraud.
I mean, that's like a very,
And was that a thing? Now I think if that happened, not only would it be more obvious, to people because everything is documented, but I feel like instantly that's the first thing that happens is an insurance company comes in and checks the situation. Back then,
you don't think so?
People were killing people for money. There was no insurance. There was no insurance fraud. The world was run by the mob.
I think it would definitely be pretty easy to pay people off, with that. For sure. A couple of shillings or whatever they used in 1912.
Yeah.
That very well could be. I don't know, Matthew. I think
couple paper $1 bills.
Yeah. And then people just lose their minds. We don't need, you get that, you sell a couple of the kids. I mean, you're one of the wealthiest people in the whole country at that point.
Pretty much.
Get rid of a couple of those children.
Woo!
Oh, man.
Big yawn there, big yawn.
There was a lot that I wanted to talk to you about, but one of the things was NBC did this Grinch musical. Did you see about this?
I did not. I don't have cable anymore.
NBC
I just watch.
Yeah, NBC did this Grinch musical with the guy. Do you remember the guy from Glee? He was the teacher from Glee.
The Glee teacher.
The Glee teacher?
Yeah.
He played the
and
Grinch. And
what was his name? And he had a kid with a different woman, didn't he? Didn't he cheat on his wife? In Glee.
No, I think his wife cheated on him.
His wife cheated on him?
I think so. Because they were trying to have a baby.
Either way, tough bounce.
Yeah, pretty tough bounce for that guy. But, so he...
I just want to say it there. Teaching is a noble profession, I would say, right? Her mom's a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of professions in the world that require, large life sacrifice. And I wouldn't necessarily classify, being, a high school teacher. I'm not saying it's easy by any means. But, aside from, teaching and grading and, maybe, a few conferences, you're not necessarily giving up, the free time of your life like some other professions do. But that fucking Glee teacher had no time for anything else but song and dance. So actually, good for his wife for stepping up and saying, fuck it, I'm going to have a kid with another man, because
Yeah, look, the thing is,
he was just way too dedicated to Glee. He was way too dedicated to Glee.
He was married to the game. He was married to the game. And when you're trying to
so
have a
I'm
successful
now pro.
relationship with somebody who...
What is his name? What is his name?
What was his character name on the show?
Yeah.
Mr. Shoe or something?
William Schuster.
I knew it. Nice. And so when you're in a relationship...
but they referred to him as Mr. Shoe.
We're trying to have a successful relationship with somebody who's obsessed with
Mr. Shoe deserved to get cheated on because he is way too obsessed with Glee.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he
that's not the
just took a fraction of a step back from his high school Glee club, he would have been happily married. Half the show would have never happened, and they probably still could have won. There just would have been a lot less drama.
But he's just addicted to the game. That guy. So he played the Grinch
Glee
in this musical, and the musicals. I think this was the final nail in the coffin for like TV musicals, because I saw some clips of it, and it was awful. Which I'm glad about, because I do not like this guy.
Hate TV musicals. TV musicals suck.
Has
there ever been a good, like, we're airing this musical on TV and it's going to be really good, like live? I love when they're like live on TV
I know.
tonight.
That's the thing. This one wasn't even live.
Like, that shit always sucks.
Because a couple years ago...
So it's just a movie.
Yeah, but it's like a stage. It was...
I mean, I guess it's still a musical, though. Yeah, it's a musical.
Imagine. Like, it was just like a stage
Was it, like,
show.
done like a play, though? Or was it like, oh, it's like a stage...
Yeah.
See, that's
Which
even
is
worse.
even
Like,
worse.
if it's going to be not live, like, and you make it like a movie, you could, like... I mean, a lot of Christmas movies are kind of musicals too. You know what I mean? Like Christmas movies and musicals kind of go hand in hand, unless you get into the Hallmark realm. But like, it's a lot of Christmas songs, and you know.
So everybody was going crazy because his Grinch was very sexual. There was a lot of air humping and a lot of like touching things, and the guy was like, "Listen, everybody's got their own take on the Grinch." And that just happened to be his.
You know what though? He was a little he was a little sexy during Glee too. He brought a little too much sex appeal for my liking into that high school Glee club.
Without a doubt, the guy. Yeah. When you are.
Do you think that maybe the problem isn't? You think maybe the problem isn't like the character, like he's just not playing the characters well? Maybe the problem is just he's too. Like he's just the sex appeal is off the charts.
Right.
Maybe it's not his fault. Did we consider that this? It could just not be his fault. He's just a man. I have this problem all the time. When you're just a man that's occasionally too sexy, you run into problems.
I will say that's probably why his wife didn't cheat on him sooner, though, because that's the one benefit of being dedicated to the game. Is that sexy. All that dancing will do some.
It's sexy.
I mean, your body's really going to benefit from all that moving around, without a doubt.
I would say if I threw on a couple Glee reruns, I might even get a little hot bothered by fucking Mr. Shoe if he was really hitting the moves the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
And I don't think anybody could blame you for that. But I've heard that guy is like a real, like, bad dude to like work with and stuff. There's a video.
He's got to be such a fucking douchebag. He's got to just be the biggest asshole ever. I hate him. I hate him. I hate that dude.
The thing is, like, that show, people are saying it's so cursed and everything because, the one guy heroin overdose. The other guy fucking killed himself because he was caught with a little CP, a little child porn action. And then the one girl died
child porn's big these days.
On a boat, which was awful because I don't think she did anything. But, like, they seem like big assholes, like, who worked on that show. Maybe not the guy that died from heroin. He didn't seem that bad, but, like, there's just something about,
like Quinn. He was the main guy, right? Quinn was an asshole. Quinn looked like an asshole. He was probably an asshole. That girl, I hated that girl.
The main girl, She's supposed to be.
What's her
terrible.
name?
Leah Michelle is the actress.
The brown hair girl, yeah. She's the
her name on the
fucking
show
worst. I
was
hate that girl.
Rachel. And yeah, she's
Yeah, fuck
so,
you, Rachel.
all these people, so like all this stuff with Glee is going on, and I got one of my buddies text me like, "Man, that show is cursed. Like all this stuff is happening to these actors. Like maybe it's karma. Maybe karma's real."
So again, I'm gonna say again, can you be too dedicated to a high school Glee club to the point where the world decides that everybody involved like must go? Not necessarily must go, but like must get like
Sure.
This was probably Mr. Shoes'
There are ramifications.
final straw. Like hopefully he'll never be documented in another something that airs on TV.
Yeah, like I honestly don't think that guy's ever going to work again. Maybe not even in theater.
I mean, hop on Broadway. Maybe he
That's what I'm saying.
throw some
though.
sex
Maybe
appeal
not
out there,
even
but
at this point.
I don't know. It was that bad, or it was just too sexy? Because sometimes too sexy comes into play on Broadway.
Bad.
I saw Aladdin. On Broadway, and it was pretty sexy.
Have you ever seen the Grinch porn parody?
No,
It's the
I do
funniest,
not jerk off to the
so
Grinch.
funny. You don't have to masturbate to it. You just like watch it for laughs. It's hilarious.
If you're watching porn, you're
The
usually
line-
masturbating. So now you've brought up.
Let me finish and explain to you how funny this is.
Okay. I'm just saying though, if you ask me in a casual conversation, hey, did you see that new Grinch porn?
I got you. I
think assume that you're jerking
right.
off to it.
Okay, no, this was not one of those scenarios. This was just
Okay.
like this is so
So you were
ridiculous
jerking off
and
to
funny.
Grinch porn.
No, look, not even a wiggle. Not even a wiggle. Let me preface this with not even a wiggle. But
When you Christmas,
stop
you were jerking
doing
off
that.
to that. Nice.
Dude,
That's
that
real appropriate.
girl, she had this band, and the most famous news about her after that was that she like carried a dildo around in her purse. But in the Grinch, it was like worse than the Grinch porn parody in it. This fucking musical show, and in the Grinch porn parody, there's a line. I got to credit to that actor though, because he really goes all out as the Grinch. There's a line. He goes, "Oh, my Grinch balls," and just it's insane. It's pretty funny to if you like actually like look that up for laughs. I'm not saying you have to pull your thing out and make a night out of it. I'm just saying like it's funny to watch that.
To whoever makes, because I'm sure it's still being made, Grinch porn. If you guys want to get your name out there, Andrew will personally sponsor you.
Wait. You think this is like a genre now?
Probably. I've never explored into Grinch porn, but there's a lot
You're
of
saying
porn
like
genres out there.
Grinch
Like
porn. It's a parody
because
of
I'll
the
say
Grinch. And it just happens to be people having sex
it's
with each
Grinch
other.
porn.
I guess it's Grinch porn, but that does make it sound like.
Well, no,
the whole
you
subject.
called it Grinch porn. You called it
I
Grinch
said-
porn. Does it show the Grinch? Does it physically show the Grinch fucking somebody?
Yes.
Then it's Grinch porn.
I'm glad we got to
It
the
is Grinch
bottom
porn
of
at
that
that
one.
point.
There's no way around it. That's absolutely Grinch porn. Whether that sort of expands, look, maybe it's ahead of its time. In a couple of years, Grinch porn will be like the only porn. That'll be the standard for porn.
Yeah.
And good on the people that are trying to make it happen.
No, the porn industry is one
pioneers.
industry that does not lack creativity.
We salute you.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. Like, people are underpaid in the porn industry. Maybe not the actors and actresses, but like the people who come up. Like, there's this. I know what you mean when you're saying like, oh, like watch this video, it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
There was this video that my friends and I like somebody had sent to us, and we would crack up laughing at it. It was like intended to be a porn video, but it never actually got to porn. You've probably like seen clips of it. It was legitimately a guy in a bathtub, and like a random woman walks in dressed as a lifeguard, like trying to convince, like, and he's like, I don't need a lifeguard. I'm in a bathtub. Like, so I know, and it's obviously so fucking ridiculous. And people like took the sound for like the sound clip from the video and like would make videos over it. You know what I mean? And it was pretty damn funny. But
You know, the thing, just
kind of
while we're on the subject, like the thing that I don't think most people realize is that as far as technology goes, porn is always at the forefront. You know, the first, like, the reason that they developed the software to use your credit card to purchase things online was because of porn. The first website to ever do that was a porn website. It's a whole reason we have Amazon and everything like that. VR technology is being
porn.
revolutionized by the porn industry right now. Fucking
You want to know?
digital
You
video,
want to know something?
everything. Like people,
You want to know
like I
something
know, like people
porn
talk.
related that never gets talked about enough?
What's that?
Is the fact that there's places like adult video stores that just have like jerk off rooms, and like truckers on like
Do they
3-day
really?
haul can just pop in and just jerk off in them.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I
I'm
did not
I'm
know
pretty
that.
sure. I don't know if they still exist, but they definitely used to have those. Like, yeah, legit. Like,
Little J-O-B, little jerk off
it was like,
booth.
yeah, a little jerk off booth at like the like X Videos store. That's like right
Sounds terrible.
off exit 37 when you're on the highway.
You
Yeah,
got- man.
yeah, I'm pretty sure those exist.
That's who we need.
I don't
to
know if they
start a
still do. I
foundation
hope
for.
they do. And here's another question: if they do, how has COVID affected the jerk off booth industry?
The jerk off booth industry is probably the final nail in the coffin. You hate to see it to an American institution like that, but unfortunately, you know, this is hashtag the new normal.
But here's my question, though. Here's my question: if you are somebody who regularly visits a jerk off booth, do you think that you're worried about COVID?
Here's another question.
Because I would say no. Like, it's not like they're probably cleaning them.
Here's another question. If you are the type of
Imagine
person,
bringing a UV light into a jerk off.
okay, no, Jesus, there are some things you can't unsee, Matthew. If you're the type of person that would go to a jerk
So
off
if you're the type of
booth,
person, to a jerk off
would
booth.
you even go to a jerk off booth? You know what I mean? Like if you're the type of person that has that goes to a jerk off booth, are you
just find a good looking tree and hop?
I'm just like, are you
Hop
like
behind
what
it.
kind of person does that? Like, is it the type of
This
person
was-
that is even like married, like with kids and stuff? Because if you're not, if you live
No.
alone, why would you
Hell
go?
no.
Why would that be? Like, maybe they just need to get some fresh
They're
air.
for
but that's
like
the
Andy.
not
That's what I'm
fresh air.
saying. They're for like truckers and stuff. Like you're on like
Gotcha.
you're driving like a shipment across country, and like so the like a lot of those have like cabs off, like, you know what I mean, like sleeping areas, but maybe you just don't like to jerk off. I don't know.
Well, it's
I
very
don't know.
dangerous to jerk off when you're
I've
driving.
never been. I don't ever plan on going. But
So
okay,
keep that in mind, everybody.
I was.
If you're listening to this and you got your hand on your pants, take it off right now and focus on the road.
So this is actually a real story. I don't know. I mean, I won't name any names. I don't know whatever happened to it. It was like my sophomore year at college or something, and a girl that I knew was like sitting in the library, like studying on the quiet floor, and somebody like came up to her and like whispered something to her, like, and like brought her downstairs real quick, and like it turned out like the person that came up to her could like see that there was like a random dude in the library hiding behind a bookshelf, just spanking one of my friends sitting there studying in the library.
So this
True story. So then started doing like ID checks in the library every night at 10 p.m.
I mean, that's a good idea. Why, people have, since the first library was built, people have been jerking off in them. Because they're like mazes, I guess. I don't really know. It's quiet.
I wonder, and that's
I have
like
no
another
idea.
thing I've thought about. Like, I've wondered, like, you see like TV shows, like people in college, like have sex in the library. And like, I think about the Canisius College library, and I don't think that sex is very practical in it. So I think that also means that people aren't really jerking off in it. But I know at least one person has attempted to jerk off in it because of that.
Right. And I'm sure
situation.
they are far
But I
from
think they
the
caught
only
the
one.
guy.
I don't know what it is about
I
libraries.
think they caught that same girl. Actually, she lives a crazy life. She one time, like, there was like a phone scam, and like they called
Oh,
her and called her mom like at the same time and was like, "Hey, like your mom and I just got in a car accident. Like you have to transfer me this money right now, or I'm gonna like kidnap her." Blah blah blah. But she could like, "Don't hang up. Like we could see you." Blah blah. Like this crazy fucking like thing, like literally crazy. Like saying like don't like stop to like talk like, and like her mom was on the other phone. I don't know. That's whatever. But yeah, that happened too. That she has a crazy life. All right, so we talked about the Titanic. We talked about jerking off.
I guess that's everything. Um,
Okay, good show,
let's
guys.
talk
Like,
about this. Did you hear Tom Cruise going off on those guys?
I did not. What did he freak out on somebody for?
So there's like this audio clip of Tom Cruise that was released of him like losing it on somebody from the crew of the set of the new Mission Impossible movie that they're shooting right now, because the person in whatever way was um, violating the COVID protocols. So there's this video that somebody told me it was only 30 seconds. I listened to it. I thought it was like a minute long. And Tom Cruise is just screaming at this guy. It's pretty intense because you got to think like the thing. I don't know if everybody knows this, but like Tom Cruise runs the Mission Impossible sets. Like he's not just the star, but like he chooses the directors, writers, everybody for those movies. And
Yeah.
he is a really like he's an intense guy. Like I think when you get to that like
Well,
the
especially when you're
star
shooting
power,
movies like Mission Impossible, and he's out there doing his own stunts and shit. Doesn't he do his own stunts?
yeah.
Like, I feel like you kind of got to be a fucking hardo. You got to have a cape on, like, because I mean, if somebody's not following protocol about COVID, how do you know they're following protocol when you're going to do a stunt that you trust yourself to do, but you also have to have trust in other people? I mean, I get it. I didn't listen to the clip, but I'll say right now, I get it. It's like my dream to one day. It's the Ari Gold dream. It's the Ari Gold dream. You want to be Ari Gold. You want to be a person that can just, when something goes wrong, just blow up in everybody's face. Like, what the fuck? You guys have to fix this. Fix this shit now.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. It's the Ari Gold. You want to be Ari Gold.
Right. And that's
I
exactly
want to be
what
Ari
it
Gold.
was. I mean, yeah, I'm not bringing this up to say that Tom Cruise was in the wrong because he absolutely wasn't. He's yelling at those guys, and it was like yelling at him in the way where like when you get yelled at the way Tom Cruise is yelling at these guys, you can't say like you can't apologize, right? Like there's no like, oh sorry, like it won't happen again. It's like you just have to sit there and like take it, and then just be like, okay, like understood, and just keep your fucking head down for like a couple weeks after that. Like you can't do anything. Because Tom Cruise, he's yelling at him. He's like, there's so many fucking people depending on us, like, to get jobs. Like, we're not shutting this shoot down. And he's like, if this happens again, you're fucking out of here. Like, you're fired, and you're fired, and, like, you're gone. But, so my thing is, like, we talked about this a little on the Film Juice episode we did today, that I think, like, this little clip being released has got to be... Like, this had to be leaked, quote-unquote, leaked by, like, his PR team.
Yeah, so that they're like, oh, like he's serious about this COVID nonsense.
Right, and, like, just look at what a hero Tom Cruise is for doing all this stuff. Just like
Yeah.
a good
Oh, that
move.
makes sense.
But it's interesting when you hear
So
it.
I'll have to give it a listen.
Yeah.
Something that you just said,
Like, if you keep that in mind.
reminded me of something that I wanted to bring up, and then after that, let's hop into the who would win of the week.
Okay.
You guys are doing something pretty big on Film Juice this week, right?
Yes, yeah. I'll reiterate this at the end, but I meant to plug it right up top. But yeah, we'll talk about it now. So
I knew. I'm glad you.
We've been talking about doing these watch parties for like a super long time, and we're finally doing the first one tomorrow, Friday, December 18th. We're gonna be watching Splash, starring Tom Hanks, 1984. So the watch party is it's live on YouTube. You just go to the Film Juice YouTube page. There's also like a link in our Instagram bio. You click on that, it'll take you right there. And you just watch the movie along with us. We can't show the movie because it's, copyright, but there's a little clock, like a little timer that's up there so you can like sync up your movie with ours. And you can jump in at any time because we're going to be, we're going to be having a good time throughout the whole movie. So you just like watch the movie live with us, and then in the Film Juice episode that comes after, we're going to be doing it as a throwback. So we're going to be doing the review after the watch party. You can get a couple more of like our thoughts on it and stuff. So Splash, yeah, it's a good time. We were either going to do Bigger or Splash for this one. And Splash is the movie where Tom Hanks like falls in love with a mermaid. So you have to do that because it's just insane. So we're going to have a good time talking about that one.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, we got
so make sure we bring that up again.
We've got some stuff planned that's like not for this one, like for future watch parties. I'm gonna have to tell you about it like off the podcast and stuff because it's gonna be something people do not want to miss once we like get into this stuff. But so you're gonna want to watch it now. You're gonna want to hop on early because once we really get rolling with this thing, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really excited for some of that stuff. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up because I want to make sure we get that plug in there. Don't forget.
Gotta plug it. Okay. Sorry, I got a little distracted real quick, but I had wanted to make sure that you brought that up because I think that that's something really cool. Outside of Two in the Cooler, kind of reminds me of almost like when we did our little Double Shot at Love season 2 premiere. So that'll definitely be cool. Check that out. And what do you say we get a little Who Would Win of the Week here?
I'm ready to go. I think this is a good one. We just came up with it, and I think that it's going to be good.
Yeah. So this week's Who Would Win of the Week is Leslie Knope from Parks and Recreation versus Liz Lemon from 30 Rock. So right away, you're looking at two like strong independent women in a position of power that love to like be in charge and organize everything kind of. And they both have to deal with just a slew of absolute characters. I don't know how you feel about this fight, Andy, but I think that it's going to be a battle. However, I do think that there is a winner. But I want to hear what you have to say first before I continue.
Okay, it's definitely tough, and I'm going back and forth a little bit. So, like you said, they're both in positions where they have to solve a ton of problems. That's basically their job, is putting out fires and dealing with things a lot. At least that's what we see on the shows. Liz Lemon seems to be a kind of a reluctant problem solver, whereas Leslie Knope, problem solving is in her DNA, and that's to consider in this aspect is that Liz Lemon is, while she gets her job done and she does it well, she's pretty sloppy. Like, we know that she does not take care of herself, and she doesn't really have. She's very disorganized. She's not really together. Whereas Leslie Knope, organized is her middle fucking name, right? Like she's got fucking binders like ready to go at a moment's notice. Like any scenario, boom, let's put together a binder. As far as the nutrition goes, Liz Lemon, pizza jammers. Leslie Knope, waffles. However, I'll say this. Even though they both eat pretty badly in that retrospect, Liz Lemon, when she's down in pizza blasters, does seem to have an adverse effect on her. Like, she does seem to pay the price for her poor diet. Whereas Leslie Knope seems to be like one of those people akin to
Pawnee, born and raised. That's all they do.
Born and raised. Yes, exactly. That's a great way to put it. Where their body almost just thrives off of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
So with
Liz,
that being
Liz
said,
Lemon.
oh, go ahead.
The thing about Liz Lemon is she is ready to throw down. Like, obviously she's got that New York City thing in her. She's ready to absolutely decimate, like, physical, like, just fucking go at it with anybody. Like, start, like, just clawing at people. You know what I mean? She's got a lot of anger in her. And Leslie Knope, I don't think, is as physical of a person as Liz Lemon.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will say that I didn't really think about the diet thing, but I actually think it plays into my cards because I think that we said it all with the diet thing when we were talking about like Pawnee born and raised. Like Liz Lemon definitely has a cutthroat instinct where if Leslie Knope comes at her, she's not going to back down and it's going to be a battle. But I think at the end of the day, Leslie Knope is a little more determined in the sense that she's used to a situation where like the other party isn't backing down. Like she has to press to get like her ideas forward. And I think that comes in handy when you're a fight. Like you're like, like even if Liz Lemon for points fight starts having her way, Leslie Knope is going to battle back because she wants to be the best. And she wants it not only to be the best, but she wants it to go the way that she thinks it's going to go. And that's how everything always goes for her because she becomes so determined. With that, on top of that Pawnee mentality, like, I think that the Pawnee mentality and her, like, determination to get things done that she wants done overweighs Liz Lemon's scrappiness and somewhat similar ability to get things done. I think that the pros outweigh the cons for Leslie Knope more than they do Liz Lemon.
Yeah, to your
but
point.
Leslie Knope is also clumsy at times, though. But I just think she's tougher. She just gives off a tougher vibe. Like you look, like you know what I mean.
Well, I definitely agree with the determination thing. I think a perfect example of that we see throughout both these television series is that Leslie Knope is always pushing herself to achieve that next level, and move up positions, whatever, right? Liz Lemon, anytime there's an opportunity for her to move up or whatever the word is I'm trying to say, that's always, she always has to be pushed into that situation by Jack. Like she always has to be like, directed into pushing herself or, achieving more, whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas
yeah.
Leslie is completely
Leslie also
self-motivated.
shares a similar type of. See, I disagree. I think that she's more self-motivated, but she also faces crisis and reverts to Ron Swanson, who doesn't really help her the way that Jack helps Liz, but it's still a mentor of sorts.
Sure, but Leslie is the one in those situations bringing her whatever situation she's in to Ron. Whereas Jack is the one bringing opportunity to Liz's door that she's not searching out herself.
Okay, I get that. But I think more times than it's with Liz, it's not necessarily opportunity based. It's like how to resolve issues within her personal life that also reflect her.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I got that, but I don't think
professional.
that they're dissimilar. You know.
No, but I think that I was just playing a little bit devil's advocate because, as I
Sure.
said, and
And
I'm
I
going to
think
lock this in now, I do think that Leslie Knope will win this fight. But it's going to be close, and there's a lot of things to consider. On an off day, Liz Lemon definitely has a chance. But I like Liz. Fuck, dude. Now my tongue is tied from so many L's. I like Leslie Knope in this fight. Lock it in. Boom.
All right. Let me go over this one more time for myself here. I think that Liz. It's tough because Liz, if she's getting in this fight, she's going to be a hurricane. And we've seen Leslie go up against somebody like Tammy 2, for example, where initially, at least,
Andy.
Leslie's running away.
Yeah, but Andy, you're sitting here trying
I'm talking this out.
Talk yourself. Okay.
However, Leslie, she doesn't back down, and Liz is definitely always going to take the path of least resistance unless pushed into it by Jack. So that statement right there closes out this battle, and is why Leslie Knope, through her unwillingness to budge on anything, is going to end up winning this fight. Despite the fact that she's going up against, a serious contender here. Like a really, solid opponent. But at the end of the day, Liz is just more likely to roll over and give up when the going gets tough, and that's something that is not in Leslie. That's not even on Leslie Knope's radar. So it's got to be.
It would be. Knope. Yeah, I agree. And to your point, before we hop off of this, I will say the only thing that I think could change that would be like if Liz Lemon was allowed to wear like an earpiece with Jack just talking to her.
Sure, or if it was like a boxing match and like he was in her corner or whatever, that could maybe sway the tides.
But I do still think that the way things roll, Leslie Knope wins this fight. So let's lock that in. Leslie Knope, both on the same page today, thankfully, because if you picked Liz Lemon, I was going to have a few harsh words to say, but make sure you guys go vote on that on social media. Let us know what you guys think. Keep my undefeated streak alive. All the important things.
At least, the thing is, your undefeated streak only exists within your head, so nothing will deter that.
Just in real life. It's very real. But hey, what are you gonna do? All right. What else you got for me, Andy? Anything else you got cooking in that brain of yours?
People are kind of making a fuss about Chris Pratt, the character Star-Lord, is bisexual, which I'm pretty sure he's pansexual. I don't know why this is fucking news, because the guy is like a galactic space traveler. Like, if you go into space and you're not...
Yeah, you fuck anything.
Exactly. Like, what if you go into space and you're not, like, just open to any sexual experience that comes your way, you're doing it wrong. That's the only reason that's the only reason people are going to the moon, is to try and stick their dick in it. So it is.
I was going to say, if I ever get into space and I see something with tentacles, there's a good chance I'm letting it take me for a spin.
You'd be the first guy to watch Grinch porn on the moon.
Yeah. Yep. So if I ever go to space, I'm just going to watch Grinch porn.
So that
maybe
the thing is, like, everybody's making a fuss out of it because Chris Pratt is like a pretty like religious guy, like he believes in God and stuff, and so people are like, oh my gosh, he believes in God and his character is gay. That's so funny. Like, just because that would be
like saying like, oh, you're religious, but you play like a murderer in a movie. So you can't murder
That's what I'm
people
saying.
because that's a sin. That's virtually like what that says, but even like less of a scale because you're talking about somebody's sexuality, and we're not living in 1872 anymore.
Like I think that the church is obviously just like a pedophile ring that wants to steal money from people. But
Yeah, they
like just because
and they just
yeah,
sleep
but
with
like
little
just
boys,
because
that
like
kind of thing.
you're a religious person, like doesn't mean you have to believe everything that they say. Like it's obviously a complicated thing because I mean Chris Pratt, I don't know for sure, but I think his family like grew up like poor, and and then in a lot of those cases the church is all some families have, right? That's all that's keeping them like together, and given like people need something to believe in regardless of what it is. Sometimes I think a lot of times now most people choose to believe in like a goal that they have, but back in the day before
Rather than
the internet and before you kind of
before goals.
right before people no, I mean honestly before people had goals, when all you had was like just trying to survive and
When
stuff.
you're growing up and working at the factory,
exactly, like you're just trying to put
religion
food
was
on the table.
very important. Yeah, I get that.
So like,
Well,
it shouldn't even be an announcement that Star Lord's gay because that's like obvious. Like Captain Kirk like fucked everything, and that was back when people like actually gave a shit about that stuff. So
bottom line is, if you live in space,
yeah,
and you travel to different galaxies and planets and interact with different people, the least of your concerns should be being pansexual.
yeah, 100%. It's got to be like Klingons
Whatever
or
you
whatever
said. I don't even
before.
know what it means. Pansexual.
Pansexual is like I don't want to fuck it up,
You're just,
but yeah, it's
are you
just
just
like
attracted
across
to
the
anything
board.
that you're attracted to?
Yeah, like you're ready to go. Digging the wine, not the label. Shout out to Schitt's Creek.
Happy.
Um,
Huh. Well, I don't know. You got anything else?
I mean, maybe.
I have one thing. Okay, I have one thing.
Okay.
Well, I have one thing, and then we'll wrap it up. Talked a lot about the crock pot last week.
Mm.
So I just want to fill you guys in on my cooking ventures of this week. Nothing crazy, except for one thing I saw on TikTok that I tried, and it was absolutely delicious. So I did it with 3 eggs because that's like my omelet pan, like the pan that I use if I'm making an omelet. 3 eggs. That's what I do. So scrambled 3 eggs, pour them right in the pan. Like just, you know what I mean? Like you're pouring in scrambled eggs, uncooked, non-chopped, whatever. Heat's on. So once it cooks a little bit, like not a lot, like when it's like more gooey than runny, but still like pretty runny on the top, when you can tell like the edges and the bottom part, you take a tortilla, same size as the pan, and you just push it right down on there and let it like cook for a little bit longer onto the tortilla. Then you flip it. So now it's tortilla on the pan, egg stuck to the top of the tortilla, like a nice perfect circle, thick layer of egg. Hit it with some cheese, hit it with some meat, hit it with some spinach or whatever, tomato, whatever, onion, whatever you like in your breakfast. Fold it like quesadilla style, like fold the one half over the other half, like omelet style pretty much. And then toast it in the pan on both sides of the quesadilla and let like the cheese melt. And you got like a breakfast quesadilla type thing. Very delicious. And yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got this week.
I love it. I like that. Yeah, I think that people want your recipes. And you got that from TikTok?
Yep. Another thing, I got both. I got the crockpot recipe from TikTok too. I also did everything else I did was basic tacos,
TikTok,
chicken Alfredo, stuff like that.
TikTok is for people that like kind of aren't familiar with TikTok, like myself. It seems like it's just like dancing. I feel like I've said this before. There's
Break
shit
down
on
TikTok
TikTok
for you.
that like you would not believe. There's
TikTok has become
that the TikTok people don't want you to know about, and it's insane.
Oh, there's a there's a lot of sides to TikTok. Like that's like an ongoing thing. Like for example, one of the big things, like I'm because there's an algorithm that spits out the videos that you see. Like that's how you see content. So like stuff that you even like videos that if you watch a video for longer or interact with the video, or you know what I mean, if the algorithm notices that a specific type of video is keeping your attention, like they'll pump more of those TikToks onto your TikTok. So I am on golf TikTok, big on golf TikTok. I also have found myself on like many are cooking TikToks. I've Christmas pajama TikTok, stuff like that. Mostly like dark humor TikTok though is kind of my style of TikTok.
Yeah.
I get very few like dancing videos and stuff like that anymore. And honestly, the only reason I think I still get a few is because every once in a while, like my girlfriend will send them to me and be like, we should learn this. And then I actually have learned one TikTok dance and I fucking nailed it. The video is not posted anywhere, nor will it be, but I did nail it.
My girlfriend has started to follow like quite a few influencers and stuff on TikTok and Instagram, and I am dreading the day when something pops up and she like asks me to do something because there's no look. I'm not like saying like I'm not trying to like shit on any of that, but I'm not doing it. Like I don't want to do that because that's not who I am. And I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go do a fucking dance, like just because people are dancing. Like I'm like that's like.
Well, you just can't dance is the problem. So what you're saying is you would just be embarrassed because you're so bad at dancing.
No,
Here's what I'll say.
No, I'm not saying that I would be. I'm a terrible dancer. That's a fact, and it's unfortunate.
I'm
it's
saying
a kind of life that I live. But
or influencers. I want to.
But I'm just saying because it'd be disingenuous of me. That's the reason I wouldn't want to do it. Not just because I think it's stupid.
Yeah, I guess that's an okay. That's you being way too proud of a reason. But what I will say is, come into like the whole influencers thing. See, I don't like to follow influencers like necessarily directly. Like I don't want to know the dumb shit they do in their life. Like I don't want to see all their stuff, but I like to like know what's going on at the same time. Like I like to kind of monitor it from a distance.
Sure. The trends, what the people,
and that kind of keeps me out of the bullshit, but still up to date on things that are more relevant to know, even though they're still not relevant at all.
I feel like every time I just see like an influencer like do something, I just think like, how many times did it take you to shoot that? You know what I mean? Like how many takes did you do where you like put on your smile? Because after you do it like 4 times, like there's no way you're keeping that smile, so you have to reattach your smile, and then like go in and do something. Yeah. And there's some with kids.
I think about that too.
And I'm like, these fucking kids, like.
It's got to be hard. Or dogs. People doing with their pets. Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know. But like, if that's your thing. But think about this, though. If that's your thing, is making those videos, what? Does it take as long as it takes us to do this podcast to make one of those videos? It's the same. I mean, it's a different outlet, but I guess it's this, like, I understand why people do it. But yeah, I mean, I would say it's neither of our thing. But what I will say,
but trying to push it off as just a natural thing, that's what upsets me, because that gives an unrealistic expectation for people.
Don't try to make it look staged if we know that it's staged. Okay, I get that. I agree with that. I will say one thing, and then I think we should wrap up here, and that is, based off the conversation we just had, I wasn't even going to bring this up, but I will still fight Jake Paul. I heard he's been really on some bullshit lately. So I mean,
it's pretty wild what he's doing.
If he's just gonna fight anybody, like, yeah, I might as well toss my hat in the ring. Like, fuck. Even if I get my ass knocked out, I just fought Jake Paul.
That's pretty wild.
You know.
Yeah.
All right.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, Andy. One last time. Drop
Film
Drop
Juice
the
watch party
hammer on
tomorrow.
us. What's going on?
Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, live on YouTube. Watch party for Film Juice. We're watching Splash. It's a movie that'll blow your mind in a couple ways. We're talking early Tom Hanks. This is not an Oscar Tom Hanks. He's just walking around, fucking mermaids. John Candy's in this movie. Eugene Levy's in this movie. It's a good one. So definitely check that out. We'll see you there tomorrow.
He fucks mermaids?
Yeah,
Are you
point
pansexual if you
of
fuck
the movie.
mermaids?
Yes, 100%, actually. 100%. And like, that's
All
something
right,
that we
well-
can all get behind. So, everybody relax.
All right. Well, I am exhausted. I was at the hockey rink for about 3 hours before we hopped down to do this. So I'm going to probably, and I have the hiccups now. So I'm going to eat, probably go to bed. Thanks for listening, guys.
Yes.
Check out that Film Juice thing on Friday. I'll probably tune in. Andy, thanks again. I love you. I'll talk to you later.
All right, love you too. Thanks, guys, for listening. Let's get on out of here.